think now that we're at the time where Mario Kart 8 is literally turning into Mario Kart Ultimate, with all of these old tracks coming back in a new light, I think it's time to kind of go back and look at some of these past tracks and kind of put them all together to find out which ones were the absolute worst Mario Kart tracks. Today I have a big list, but I had to chop it down and chop it down again and chop it down even more to a list of only the top 10 worst Mario Kart tracks. I also have a couple honorable mentions thanks to you guys. After asking you guys what your least favorite tracks were, you guys flooded it in less than 12 hours with over 300 different comments, and I got to see all of your guys and also contribute to my list as well, so thank you for your input. Of course, I always have to give a disclaimer because just before we start, I have to tell you guys that this is my personal opinion list. I did look at a lot of your comments and it influenced a lot of my choices as well, but the way I kind of made this list is I looked at each track based on the game that it came out on and how bad it was at that time, and even if it came back again in the future, how bad it was there. So that's kind of how I justified, this list as a whole. It's my opinion. It's based on how my experiences have gone with these tracks and based on how I've heard the community speak on these tracks in the past and as of recently. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Kart and all things Nintendo in general. Now, without further ado, let's get into our list of the top 10 worst Mario Kart tracks. First one on the list, coming in at number 10, is Toad's Turnpike from Mario Kart 64. This track was just obnoxious. There were so many trucks and buses on the road. I get it, it's a turnpike, there's supposed to be lots of cars, but it was just kind of annoying, especially since you didn't really have a good drift back then. It just kind of was boring and not a lot going on. But then this track made its return in Mario Kart 8, and I feel the same way. I just don't think it's that interesting. If anything, I feel like it's even less interesting. I feel like the pace is slower, just nothing's really going on. I guess you can crank it up to 200cc, but I don't know, just driving down this turnpike wasn't really that interesting to me at all. There wasn't that much to see and not too many places to go or hit shortcuts. It was kind of meh. At number 9, we have Moo Moo Farms from Mario 64. I don't like this track. We have Moo Moo Meadows, and it just feels like a better drive as there's different grass patches and, bumps to go over, and I think Mario Kart 8 did Moo Moo Meadows really well, but when it comes to Moo Moo Farms, it really is just this little small circle, and the only interesting part about the entire track is maybe the Monty Moles, and then you go under a bridge. That's really about it, and you just continue to go right over and over and over again. I just don't think this is an interesting track whatsoever. I think they definitely upgraded it later on with Moo Moo Meadows, but right now, Moo Moo Farms should never really exist. It came back in the DS, and I'm still trying to figure out why, but for the most part, it's just not a good track to me. I would not probably put this on this list if we were just talking about classic tracks in general and didn't look into the future, but Mario circuits were just not that good because they just kept repeating. There's like 4 of them in this game, and I know they repeat a lot of the tracks because it's an older game, so I get that, but man, Nintendo did not have to keep bringing this back. For crying out loud, it's coming back in Wave 2 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass. I am so sick of Mario Circuit, especially Mario Circuit 3, because we've been seeing it way too much. It's a pretty decent classic track as far as classic tracks go, but it never did get updated like all the other classic tracks did in the future installments. It just kind of stayed exactly the same, and it really is just not that interesting. You're going down a couple of winding roads and then you're done, and just weaving in between a couple of colored blocks. The sky's not that interesting, the background's just not that interesting, the stage itself isn't that interesting. I don't know why it's coming back as DLC. I'm really not that big of a fan of most of the desert tracks from the Mario Kart franchise, but Desert Hills from Mario Kart DS is just so boring. I hate everything about it. There's nothing really aesthetically pleasing about it. It's just this long desert road as you go between a couple of pokies and then it's over. There's nothing interesting about it, and plus the annoying fire snakes dropping from the sky at random intervals is just not fun either. It's so easy to get stuck in the deep sand and just go extremely slow, and there's just too much winding back and forth, and then for some reason it returns on the Wii, which is extremely weird because it already had a pretty decent desert stage in the form of Dry Ruins, which is probably one of my favorite ones from that game. So why this came back, I don't know, it's beyond me. But definitely never really a big fan of this track. Now, I've seen hundreds of comments from you guys bringing up Vanilla Lake one way or another. And yeah, Vanilla Lake is pretty bad, especially Vanilla Lake 3 in my opinion. For one, you just go around this entire lake, just literally going in circles. I think the part that people hate the most is just the extruding colored blocks that just kind of get in your way, and it's hard to really see them sometimes, and you could just bump and come to a complete halt. And also the ice blocks, which are even harder to see because they're light blue, blending in with everything else on the track. This can be kind of annoying. Now, there are lots of new advertisements and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Wave 1 DLC showing off Vanilla Lake could be coming back. Who knows, but at least maybe give it an upgrade like they did with Snowland for Wave 2, then I guess I'll be okay. Oh man, I remember how much I used to hate playing Yoshi Falls online in Mario Kart Wii, and we can thank Mario Kart DS for that, because man, this track is so boring. You're literally just going in a giant circle around the falls. You're not even going through the falls or anything with the falls. It should just be Yoshi's circle, because it is just that boring. It's an extremely quick track too. You're over each lap in about 15 seconds, and it's just done like that. Now, there are some shortcuts you can technically take by using like a mushroom through the actual waterfall itself, but besides that, it's just a circle. You're turning right over and over and over again, and it's extremely short and extremely boring. Now, we have different versions of Sherbet Land, but it's the 64 version that just makes me want to puke. I hated this track. This track is just extremely mid for some reason. I don't know why, but it just seems like they decided to throw the racers literally just in Antarctica on a giant glacier and just said race. There is no kind of surroundings. There's nothing interesting about it. There is a cave, but even when you're in the cave, it's a very confusing one at that, especially to newer players. There's an extremely hard left turn in that cave, and a lot of people aren't going to know to hit it. There's also weird kind of extrusions from the crack in the lake, and it's just like weird angles that you have to hit to get over it. I don't like it. It just looks kind of out of place and just weird. I don't know. It's a strange track for me, for sure. In a way, it feels like Nintendo tried to have a modern take on Vanilla Lake, but, you know, yeah, instead of having you just go in circles, they added a cave now. But at the same time, it feels kind of like the same concept, just going around this lake with weird random cracks everywhere and just a bland zone. It's just literally ice everywhere. You couldn't even tell this was from a Mario game if you didn't know better and seen the penguins walking around. I remember how freaking excited I was when I first heard the news that we would be getting an Excitebike Mario Kart 8 track. And then I saw the track. Excitebike is really just one giant oval, and it stays true to the original games, just having straightaways that the racers do tricks on and kind of jump off of ramps. But man, it doesn't translate so well in Mario Kart. Literally, when you're playing this online, 95% of the time you're racing in 150cc, which is just way too slow with this track, because nothing is going on. Really, the winner of this race comes down to who gets the best items, and that's it. There's really no shortcuts or real good cuts that you can hit, or really anything at all for you to change the outcome of the race unless you get a good item and pray to God that you don't get hit by a blue shell or multiple reds while you're in first, because once you lose that lead, odds are you're not getting it back. Now, it's not that bad in 200cc because you're going so fast, you're just flying off of ramps and kind of feels the most like Excitebike. But in anything else but 200cc, this is one of the most boring tracks, I think, in the Mario Kart franchise. Now, this is one of the very few tracks, I think, in Mario Kart history that has not made a second appearance yet, and that is Figure 8 Circuit from Mario Kart DS, and it's for a good reason why it hasn't come back. I am praying that the devs for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe does not bring this one back in a future wave of DLC, because it is so unbelievably boring. Now, the first track in multiple Mario Kart games are normally just a basic circuit, so I get it. It's not supposed to be anything crazy, but Figure 8 Circuit is multiple things. It's super boring, it's super long, and there's just nothing going on shortcut-wise at all. There's nothing to do on this track but to drive this extremely long path where lots of straightaways are and just barely any turns. You're just doing a giant Figure 8. There's nothing special going on. Not even the background is that interesting. It has a couple of jumping platforms from Mario Bros. 3 and then a couple of trees. That's really about it. It's so random, it's so weird. This is just so boring. I mean, it even looks like a regular racing game stage. You just have a crowd of people watching you, and that's about it. It's so boring. Please, don't bring this back, Nintendo. Here are some honorable mentions thanks to you guys in the community. These are just some tracks I couldn't fit into the list. Choco Island 2 on the SNES just had too much mud and slowdown, and especially a lot of drifty turns in a game that really didn't have drifting yet. Dry Dunes from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a new desert stage, but didn't sit well with many people. Tokyo Blur was definitely placed in Tokyo, but a blur, not so much. Rosalina could have had a pretty cool themed track, maybe around planets or even her observatory, but Rosalina having an ice world didn't quite make any sense, and it didn't leave an impression on a lot of racers. Water Park just sounded a lot cooler than what it actually turned out to be. Game starting circuits are never supposed to be that interesting, but it's very interesting how Toad Circuit actually made a return in Wave 1 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, because it's just not that interesting. And coming in at number 1 as the worst Mario Kart track is Baby Park from Double Dash on the GameCube. I cannot stand Baby Park. It's just extremely short, extremely boring, and chaotic as heck. Now, some people actually probably really like it for the chaotic nature, and that's up to you, but I just cannot stand what this track has to offer. I saw it come back on the DS, and I feel like the DS version was a tad bit longer, but kind of nerfed everything that was in the background. It looked like a real Baby Park, at least at first, and on the DS, I feel like they took away a lot of what made Baby Park feel like a park. Then Baby Park returns once again to Mario Kart 8, and it's essentially the same thing. The only difference now is that the track is completely tilted to kind of utilize the zero gravity function, but that's about it. It just looks really cool in the background, as if it's in a real theme park with roller coasters and bouncy houses and different fun carnival rides, but you don't really get to be a part of any of that. All the cool stuff is beyond the track. This has a chance to be one of the coolest themed tracks, just having a giant amusement park to race through, but instead they limit it to this little merry-go-round area where you're just going in circles multiple times and getting blasted by items from every single racer on the track. It's just not fun. Those are my top 10 worst Mario Kart tracks, and of course there's still a chance that we could get some new ones like Sky High Sunday and some others in the future coming to tour as well, and there's a chance that we get to see some of these return, which I really hope not. I hope Nintendo leaves a lot of these alone now, or if they do bring them back, they enhance them pretty well. But what do you guys think about this list? If I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below. And what are your least favorite Mario Kart tracks? Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Kart and all things Nintendo in general. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.